What does love mean to you? Maybe it's that tight feeling in your chest when you see your crush, or the joy that friendship provides, or even the warm embrace of a loving family. Or maybe you're burning, you're emotionless, and you've never felt love. This longing for love soon becomes your entire existence, a feeling of pain and guilt, a feeling of hope and melancholy, and a feeling that's perfectly portrayed in one anime. Violet Evergarden. An anime, not depicting your average sociopathic alpha male.
Are you a man of love?
But the beauty of humanity, the fragility of emotions, and most importantly, love. Originally a light novel written by Akatsuki Kana and illustrated by Takase Akiko, Violet Evergarden tells the story of an emotionless child soldier and her journey towards understanding what love means, grasping the beauty of a human experience through the stories of others, all while bearing the sins of her past atrocities. The series tackles a number of complex topics that have led me and many others towards a path of self-reflection, personally leaving me with a new appreciation for life, and it's likely to do the same for you. So, without further ado, let's dive in to one of the most beautiful stories ever told. This is Violet Evergarden, a young, emotionless girl recovering from her injuries obtained in the Great War. A brutal conflict filled with nothing but bloodshed, with Violet's abilities thriving as if she were a weapon, only being taught one thing throughout her entire life: the art of killing. Until finally, it all came to an end. Yet, at the cost of worldwide peace, came a severe loss for Violet. Both of her arms, as well as her connection to her army major, Gilbert, someone she holds near and dear to her heart, and someone who looked at Violet as a human being, not just a war tool like others in the army. But even so, any question asked about him and his whereabouts are shut down by a friend of Gilbert's and a former army commander, Claudia Hodgins, leaving Violet clueless as to what Gilbert is actually doing. Speaking for him instead, Claudia states how Gilbert had already planned her future after the war had ended, leaving her in the care of the Evergarden household, but these plans are soon derailed. Violet detesting these orders, wondering why she's being abandoned. Is it because she lost her arms, lost her fighting abilities, lost her value as a tool? Weapons that don't work are disposed of, Violet asking to just be thrown away. All Violet has ever known her entire life was war. Ever since she was taken in, she'd been used for combat and combat only, having no personal drive, only knowing how to take orders from the Major. But seeing her struggle, Claudia decides to take her in himself, offering her a job at his recently started business, a postal company, giving Violet the role of a postman and even a room to sleep in. Yet it's clear, even on the first day, that Violet really does work like a machine, completing all of her duties even without taking a break. All she knows is how to take orders. Violet can't even comprehend complex emotions because she wasn't taught to. She wasn't taught the pain, tragedy, and sacrifice of war. Just like Claudia says, Violet is burning inside. She just doesn't understand it. At least, not at this moment. One day, whilst going about some chores, Violet encounters a man asking her to write a letter for him. A love letter, wanting to express something to someone, wanting them to know that they were the first person to ever be kind to them. How they were everything to them. How they would have done anything for them. But even though they're apart, they love them. What Violet just witnessed was an auto-memory doll working their magic, crafting a letter that could pull on the heartstrings of any that read it. But this still confuses Violet. How did this lady know what this stranger was feeling? A feeling that's foreign to just a tool, yet a feeling that she yearns to know. A meaning engulfed by 3 simple words.
I love you.
The last 3 words the Major told her before they were separated. A simple yet complex phrase Violet wishes to know, with this path to discovery set in place through becoming an auto-memory doll. Someone who writes letters for those who can't, but more importantly, someone who replicates a complex array of emotions through a letter, and emotions that Violet desires to understand. Thankfully, Claudia agrees, with Violet starting her new career as an auto-memory doll, an experience that will be met with trial and error, success, beautiful people, disheartening tragedies, happiness, all of which contributing to Violet's understanding of emotion. And just maybe, one day, will Violet truly come to understand that one sentence Gilbert had told her. The meaning of, I love you. That is what Violet Evergarden is about, and pretty much all of that is just in the first episode. This show's ability to express all these complex feelings in such a short period of time is just incredible. And it doesn't stop there. The entire series continues at this level. Even the fucking side stories are rated higher than an 8 on my anime list. Clannad couldn't even fucking do that.
Clannad? So ass, bro. Why do they make the characters look like that, bro?
Because of that, I'll only be mentioning the moments that impacted me the most within the show, just to save this video being 10 hours long.
Yet despite its fantastic first episode, there were still a lot of questions I had about the story, especially what preceded the events of the first episode. In particular, Violet, the army, and the Great War. We are never told Violet's history preceding the war. All we know is that Gilbert's brother and Navy Captain Dietrich picked her up on the Northern Front, knowing no language and no emotion, even being gifted to Gilbert in a box, as if she was just some toy to play with. But to Violet, it didn't matter who she was fighting for. If she was ordered to do something, she would do it without questions. She didn't understand the concept of foe or friend, only the concept of killing. The world around Violet, to her, had no meaning, but that didn't make it any less real to me.
Okay.
The chaos of organising a plan whilst under direct gunfire.
Major!
The daunting surprise of an enemy attack. And the calm before the storm. It's also anxiety-inducing, as if you were actually there in person. But to Violet, this was all nothing but mere child's play, easily overpowering anyone that stood in her way. Despite her young age, nothing mattered to her. Until something did matter. The depictions of war that I think are the most impactful in the series are not the actual fighting scenes, but the results of said war, the connections that were forged during it, or how people come out of the war, either the same person or different. That's what I think is important. Luculia is a fellow aspiring auto-memory doll, much like Violet, but has also been affected by the war, although in a very different way. When the war began, Luculia's older brother Spencer was drafted into the army, yet there wasn't much fighting where he was located, at least until their parents were there. After the war had ended, Spencer thankfully returned but suffered mentally, blaming himself for his parents' death, not having fought for their lives, falling into depression and alcoholism, with Luculia having to now care for him. You can tell that Spencer has one desire and one desire only, To go back to the good old days. Days that weren't engulfed by the lowest points of his life. Days where everything was just okay. And days that would soon return to him with the help of one letter. Spencer and Luculia, despite being very minor characters, didn't feel as such. Their stories were well flushed out, giving us a tragic insight to any outcome to war. Yet, what about the relationships seen within the war? Gilbert struggles throughout the war, coming to terms with the fact that they're putting a child in the midst of a bloody battle, despite knowing that she is the ultimate soldier. He knows how wrong this is, and so he tries his best to give her some resemblance of a normal life, teaching her to read, write, speak, even being the only one thoughtful enough to give her a name, Violet's immense appreciation soon taking shape. Yet, none of this matters as you lie bleeding on the battlefield. Despite pleas from Gilbert to leave him and escape, she refuses, using all her energy to carry him to safety, even losing an arm in the process. But no amount of willpower can shoulder the destruction of an explosion, resulting in her remaining arm being severed. Yet, she still powers through, not losing faith until Gilbert screams at her to stop. And at that moment, he mutters words of faith to her. You have to live. Be free. From the very bottom of my heart. I love you. This simple 3-word sentence becomes the catalyst for Violet's reason for existing. Yet, she just can't wrap her head around what this means. This is why she decides to become an auto-memory doll in the first place, being inspired by fellow doll Kaguya. Yet, despite Violet's machine-like abilities with typing speed and whatnot, she still lacked the emotional capacity to interpret one's own feelings. It's only having after hearing Luculia and Spencer's story does she finally start to wrap her head around different complex emotions, albeit only slightly. Emotions that are further clarified as she accompanies fellow doll Iris to her hometown. Originally, to assist Iris with writing after an injury, plans that soon turn out to be a setup by her family, wanting to surprise Iris for her birthday. Yet, things diverge even more as her family tries to convince her to move back home and get married, frustrating Iris in the process. She moved away and left everything she knew behind to chase a life she gets to choose herself, not the opposite. Even at a party, her mother shows her all the potential candidates for a husband, upsetting Iris to a point of breaking down when one man in particular arrives, her childhood friend and former crush, someone who never reciprocated Iris's feelings. Laying out the rawest, most vulnerable version of yourself for the person you like, just to be let down is a very universal feeling. Iris was embarrassed, upset, and alone, and just to see this person again like nothing ever happened would just be uncomfortable. All feelings Violet thought she had come to understand, but to no avail, underestimating the complexity of emotions and the contradictory nature of said feelings. It's only when Iris explains herself does Violet begin to understand the pain of rejection, wanting to just disappear, and the courage behind the words, I love you. Reflecting upon Gilbert's very same words. As she uses this newfound knowledge to craft a letter for Iris, dedicated to apologizing to her parents, a letter that brings her mother to tears, a letter that even Iris herself deems as a good letter. Violet was finally learning how to feel human. Feelings her next job would further expand on in a big way. Here, Violet is to write love letters on Princess Charlotte's behalf, dedicated to a prince in which the two royals are to be engaged in order to unite their respective countries, the letters of which being displayed publicly. Imagine that was a thing now.
Show me your boobies.
Princess Charlotte is shown to be rather aware for a princess of her age, understanding the possibility that although she's over the moon about this marriage, the prince may not be, clarifying the 10-year age gap between the two.
I don't like this. The princess is 14 and the prince is 24. Is that not weird? It's the same with Gilbert and Violet. You know, he loves her romantically. And she's 14. Even if normal for the show's late 18th century timeline, it's still odd to include relations like this. The princess could be 18 and Gilbert could love Violet in a familial sense, not romantically. Done. Weird age gap relationships? No thank you. I'll take my Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson body pillow instead.
Do I look like a real boy, Papa?
Yet despite the romance that the prince's letters detail, it all just confuses Charlotte. What if he doesn't love her or loves someone else? The main reason for this marriage is to unite their two countries for peace. So what if he's being forced to do this? How does he really feel? And how did he feel back then? When Charlotte turned 10, she had left her own birthday party, feeling overwhelmed and underappreciated, heading into a garden and crumbling down into tears until our prince appears, offering some brief yet forever comforting words before disappearing into the night. He was the first man to speak words of truth to her, and the first man she fell in love with. Once again, that one feeling pushes Violet even further, to stop the princess's tears, but to also see real love bloom between the two. Violet understands the hardship of trying to decipher another's emotions, and thus she proposes nothing but the real emotion of the two, leaving their true personalities and feelings to be discovered, which turns out to be a great success for both parties. Once again, Violet takes another big leap towards understanding those precious words Gilbert once muttered to her, learning how to decipher the true love behind one's own facade. Everything worked out for all parties, yet not everyone has been granted that luxury. Here, Violet takes a job from a soldier at a military base in Citrigol, a former enemy nation now engulfed in civil war. It's here we meet Aiden, the same soldier who had requested Violet, yet before they were able to meet, he's sent out on a mission with his fellow squad members, with everything going as planned, until they're ambushed. And then only he and one other remained. Even after making it some distance away, his friend is shot down once again, leaving Aiden scared, defenseless, and all alone, just wanting to get out of there for Maria. The night has begun to loom over, with the enemy now just inches away. Yet, not all hope is lost.
Enough.
Even the enemy know there's no winning against Violet, and so they retreat, leaving Violet to care for Aiden. As a blizzard engulfs the area, the two hide out in a cabin where, despite Violet's wishes, Aiden requests to write his letters now, just knowing that he's short on time. Dear Mother and Father, thank you for raising me. If you're ever reincarnated and marry again, I hope I can become your son again. I'm praying that you would have me as your son again. As Aiden's state only continues to deteriorate, he asks to write one more letter to a childhood friend, a lover whose time as lovers was halted by the war. Maria. Maria, how are you doing? Do you remember the time you confessed to me? I've never been that happy before. I want to go home and be with you. I don't want to die. I just want to be beside you. Wait for me, Maria. As Death stands beside Aiden, Violet offers comfort. As in his frail state, he expresses love for his parents and Maria. Saying those same words Violet has been searching for this whole time. I love you. Aiden's story had impacted Violet so much, she personally delivers the letters, where we find his parents and Maria devastated at the loss of their precious loved one. Yet, they're thankful to hear his final words Violet was able to give them, yet a life she wasn't able to save. It's this love Aiden had for his own loved ones that impacted Violet the most. The feeling of never being able to spend time with those most precious to you ever again is unimaginable. Yet despite that, Aiden's love will forever loom within the hearts of his close ones, all thanks to Violet. A love that they'll cherish, a love that brings Violet to tears, and a love that Violet
Rest in peace.
will never understand. Violet has still been burning this entire time. Despite what Claudia originally portrayed, he does not know where Gilbert is. No one does. Not even Gilbert's own brother. He's been declared missing in action. A truth shielded from her in order to not send her into a crisis. In defiance of reality, she runs away to the home Gilbert once took her upon becoming her guardian. There, etched into the gravestone, was Gilbert's name. There was no hope of finding him. The only thing they found was his army tag, and in that same place, Violet rummages through the rubble. Yet it's hopeless. She'll find nothing there, and even she knows that. Violet has come so far from where she once was, yet at what cost if she can't ever see Gilbert again? And so, she holds herself up in her room, completely abandoning her role as an auto-memory doll. After all, nothing matters anymore. She's burning, she's being engulfed by the flames of her past sins. She finally understands what Claudia had meant. Even in her dreams, she cries out for Gilbert, until he appears, right before her eyes. Yet, something's just not right. She's condemned by him for writing letters with the hands that took the lives of so many. How dare she now connect people after tearing apart countless families and friends? In a disorientated mess, she gets up, wreaking havoc across her room, screaming in agony. Yet she stops herself. What's the point of breaking anything? What's the point of anything? And so, she begins to choke herself. Yet, she's not able to bring herself to continue further. She's not able to do anything, not without Gilbert's orders to do so. And so she cries out to him, begging for an order. Yet, her wish is never granted. I'm sure we've all experienced a similar reaction when going through such a crisis. When you lose a loved one, when past sins start to creep up on you again, and when you just can't take it anymore. Your world comes crashing down all at once, and your reasoning and right to do anything slowly fades away. Yet, Violet's got a job to do. Only after assisting the postman deliver some late night letters does she remember the value of her work, her letters, and the value of herself. Each letter she delivered contained someone's precious feelings, changing the lives of many, including a letter dedicated to her. From Iris and fellow doll Erica, but more importantly, her friends. A letter detailing their worry for her, their faith that she'll recover and return to work, and their pledge to help her if she ever wants it. This act of kindness from Iris and Erica helped Violet realize just how special it is to receive a letter, understanding the value of her work even more. Without dolls, many people would miss out on that feeling. Violet had many burns all over her body, but her past doesn't dictate who she is as a person now, and it's the same for everyone watching this video. Who you were in the past is not who you are in the present. You can't erase the past, but you can create a new future. Just like how Violet knows she can't erase what she's done and her past regrets, but her accomplishments as a doll and how she's changed the lives of many will be remembered within the hearts of many for as long as time will allow it. But unfortunately, for some people, time just runs too short. I feel like it would be a disservice for these particular moments within the series to not have their own category, as though yeah, everything I've previously mentioned is of course filled with emotion, these specific parts hold a lot more significance to me personally. And here, you'll see why. This is Oscar Webster, a renowned playwright suffering with writer's block, hiring Violet to help assist him in finishing a script for a children's play. When Violet first comes across Oscar, he's seen as quite lazy, dissolute, and pessimistic, suffering from alcoholism as well, or traits personified within his home. However, underneath his reclusive ways lies a man treated horribly by the ugliest realities of the world. After experiencing the tragic loss of his wife due to an illness, Oscar and his daughter Olivia pack their bags and move to their summer home, finding comfort through each other despite their heart-aching situation. Olivia was Oscar's saving grace, his reason for living, as she always found a positive in life, sparking the creativity within him to write just by being there for him. Wishing she could one day fly gracefully across their lake with her favourite parasol, just like her favourite birds. Yet, sometimes the negative in life overpowers even the most positive people. Just like his wife, Oscar's only saving grace was unjustly taken away from him. Their final days together spent quiet and warm. Parting with someone who is important to you, never being able to see them again. Violet never knew it could be so sad, so painful to experience. Oscar's play was about his daughter, a story that needed to be finished, one where the main character must find a way home, where she can fly just like a bird, using a parasol being carried by the wind, where she can finally reunite with her father. Yet Oscar doesn't know what she should say to him upon meeting, needing some visualization, needing to feel something within, and so to help paint the picture for him, Violet does what Olivia wished to do. Through Violet fulfilling Olivia's wish, Oscar was finally able to let go of the grief that had haunted him for years. How he had wished to hear her call him dad 1,000 times more. How he wished that she didn't have to die, if only she had been given more time. All of his feelings bursting out at once, finally acknowledging and moving past the grief that had engulfed him for so long. All with the help of Violet. She too learning about grief through Oscar. This was my favourite episode in the series, just by far, making me feel all the pain and suffering Oscar had gone through, as if it were my own. We have all lost people dear to us, and it's shown beautifully, not just here, but in multiple instances, including another episode in particular. Here, Violet is to write a letter at the request of a gravely war widow, travelling to a countryside mansion where she, her helper, and her daughter, Anne, reside. Just like many children her age, Anne is imaginative and very playful, believing Violet to be a real doll, just like her toys. Yet, despite this innocence, she comes to resent Violet as her and Anne's mother spend their days within the sunroom typing away, days Anne wishes to spend with her mother. Even though she's just a child, Anne is fully aware of her mother's declining health. She can see it when she's resting, when she collapses, and even when she cries. Something's not right, and Violet being there must have something to do with it. All Anne wants is to be with her mother, something Violet can't grant her, something that frustrates her. She sees how ill she is, how frail and delicate she's become. Yet her and Violet continue to keep writing this letter for someone unknown, for someone who won't even visit her. Is this letter more important than her? Anne already knows. She knows that her mother's going away, and she'll be all alone once she's gone. A reality that the both of them wish was just fiction. Yet, Violet has changed. She's able to comprehend so much more, and so she's able to comfort Anne, reassure her that her being there is a good thing, and that everything will be okay. Only after some time does Anne realise that the letter was for her, but not just one, but dozens of letters, all of which to be received on every one of her birthdays, being there for her even years after her passing, so that she'll always be by Anne's side, no matter what. Yet, despite this, even Violet recognises that Anne will be left all alone, a mother leaving her precious daughter behind, the most painful thing a parent could experience, with Violet having to hold back her tears for her entire stay. Before, we saw a parent grieving with the loss of their child, but here, we see a child grieving the loss of their parent, both shown in their own agonizing ways. Never has an anime depicted how those left behind feel in such a realistic way, sharing those same emotions experienced universally by everyone. But how does it feel to be the one losing their life? Eurus is a young boy afflicted with a serious illness, leaving him bedridden at the hospital. At first, Eurus seems cold towards those around him, acting quite rude and pessimistic towards his parents and little brother, even denying an old friend access to see him whilst in hospital. But in reality, he's afraid. Even after multiple surgeries, his health is still slowly declining, having to face the possible reality that he may pass away soon, making him lash out at those he loves, annoyed at their worry and concern for him. This is why he hires Violet, so he could write a letter for those same loved ones to receive after his passing. In reality, he wants to be with his family. He wants attention from them. Yet, whenever he sees his family, they just worry for him, making him remember the near future, one where he no longer exists. This pain being extended onto his friend Lucas, whom he refuses to see, not wanting him to witness Eurus in such a withered condition. Despite all of this, Violet swears on delivering the letters to his family, even planning on writing one for Lucas as well. But then, his final day comes sooner than expected. With the help of Iris, in Eurys's final moments, he's connected to Lucas through a phone. As the two share the emotions they had felt for so long, apologizing to each other, yet sharing how much they care for each other. Promising to be best friends forever. Yet, as Iris steps outside to give the family some space, Eurys peacefully passes away. Yet, in his place lie those same letters written for his brother, father, and mother. Mum, your pancakes were so delicious. If I had eaten more vegetables, I could have made you happier. Dad, it was fun going fishing and camping. Mum, Dad, I'm so glad I was born your son. I love you. His little brother's letter, just as heart-aching, each sentence filling his parents' eyes with tears. In all of the pieces of media I've witnessed, nothing describes the tragedy of passing away quite like Eurys's story does. Those final moments leading up to his death, his words of love to his father, mother, brother, and friend was one of the most beautiful displays of emotion I've ever seen. Reminding me of all those same feelings I've experienced because of the passing of someone I hold dear to me. And the same can be said about all of these moments I've discussed. We have all gone through feelings of regret, guilt, rejection, loneliness, pain, and of course, love. All universally felt emotions that are displayed perfectly in this series. Violet Evergarden, in my opinion, showcases the greatest display of various complex emotions that make up the idea of humanity, using various characters' understanding of the meaning behind I love you to leverage these ideas. Basically, it made me cry multiple times, and it's one of the only anime to make me genuinely cry. All of these characters that have completely different situations to mine made me feel as if those situations were mine. Those same feelings of guilt, sadness, depression, addiction, rejection, grief, loss, and love are the same ones experienced universally. But just as importantly, it's how the characters move on from these emotions onwards to better lives. That's what I appreciate about this series. Violet Evergarden is a near perfect show in my opinion, and even if this review has spoiled the entire thing for you, there's still plenty of moments that are left out, like Leon's story, for you to witness yourself. It doesn't at all replace the experience of watching the show firsthand. So go do that! Thanks for watching the video, I really appreciate it. If you have anything in particular you'd like me to discuss, chuck it down in the comments below. And to those who keep asking for an OMORI review, it will happen soon, don't know when, but it will. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.